This is Radio Paul, and today I'd like to talk to you about Tommy Davis and his position in the cult of Scientology. I do think it's worth examining what this man's title is and what it means. Does he effectively and faithfully fulfill that duty, or is he effectively and faithfully fulfilling some other duty? So let's first examine the man's title. He is, in fact, known as the spokesperson for the Church of Scientology. Let's look up on Wikipedia what spokesperson stands for. A spokesperson is someone engaged or elected to speak on the behalf of others. In the present of a media-sensitive world, many organizations are increasingly likely to employ professionals who have received formal training in journalism, communications, public relations, and public affairs. In this role, to ensure that public announcements are made in the most appropriate fashion and through the most appropriate channels to maximize the impact of favorable messages and to minimize the impact of unfavorable messages. The responsibilities of a spokesperson, unlike an individual giving a personal testimony, it is the job of a spokesperson to faithfully represent and advocate for the organization's position, even when these conflict with his or her own opinion. As a result, spokespersons are generally selected from experienced, long-time employees or other people who are known to support the organization's goals. I think it can be said with absolute certainty that Tommy Davis does not represent what's in the best interest of Scientology. He is in fact evasive when he is asked uncomfortable questions about the organization's beliefs. He does not clarify. He does not answer questions. He does not speak for the organization. He in fact acts more like a propaganda minister. He has often attempted to indoctrinate members of the press by putting them in rooms for long hours on end, showing them Scientology video after Scientology video, and only when they are ready to walk out is he automatically and somehow miraculously available for the interview. He has threatened members of the press. He has degraded them. He has talked down to them. He has walked out on them. He has been very manipulative in many different ways, and he is a poor representative for a poor organization. And with the type of behavior that he demonstrates, it reminds me more of a Joseph Goebbels. And I can say this with some degree of accuracy in my statement, because now what we're going to do is examine what propaganda is about on Wikipedia. Propaganda is a communication aimed at influencing the attitude of a community towards some cause or position. As opposed to impartially providing information, propaganda in its most basic sense presents information primarily to influence an audience. Propaganda often presents facts selectively, thus lying by omission, not talking about Xenu, to encourage a particular synthesis, or use loaded messages. We are 8 million strong and growing every day, and we're glad that Marty Rathburn and Amy Scobie are gone because we're growing by leaps and bounds. To produce an emotional rather than rational response to the information presented. The desired result is a change of the attitude towards the subject in the target audience to further a political agenda. This is virtually every Scientology interview that Tommy Davis has ever given, where, for instance, John Sweeney was ambushed repeatedly by him, waiting for him in his hotel room. When he went to a Scientology event, Tommy Davis just happened to mysteriously appear out of the crowd and just happened to be there completely unrelated. Where just previously to that, Scientology people were telling John Sweeney how disappointed they were in him because they had heard bad things about him. Propaganda is neutrally defined as a systematic form of purposeful persuasion that attempts to influence the emotions, attitudes, and opinions and actions of specified target audiences for ideological, political, or commercial purposes through the controlled transmission of one-sided messages on which may or may not be factual. Now, this is very pertinent because the Scientologist Tommy Davis does not want to engage in the Nightline discussion where it's an open and fair discussion. He wants a one-sided discussion where he gets to state things about Scientology that are positive, but the reporter cannot ask questions that are critical or compromising or need clarification or that are perceived to be critical or compromising. It is also clear that when Scientology gives these interviews, that they don't see it as an interview. They see it as a public relations opportunity to recruit and to control their image, not just in the general public, but within their own ranks. For instance, when Tommy Davis gets up and walks out of the interview on Nightline, one has to ask, is this for the fear of the general public condemning Scientology, or is it more about the fear of Scientologists who may be tuned in, learning something and getting confirmation about something that they didn't know about or that we're told doesn't exist? It is more likely that the Church of Scientology will lose members from information like Xenu leaking out than it is that they will in fact not be able to get new recruits as a result of this information coming out. There are people who do not watch TV, who don't tune in to particular programs, and may never actually pick up on the Xenu story that are not Scientologists and could fall prey down the road to an auditing table in a public square. On the other hand, Scientologists, unless directly told not to watch a particular event on television or read a particular newspaper, are more than likely going to want to watch something that concerns their organization. They'll want to certainly take pride in Tommy Davis and the way that he handles the situation. So once these questions are asked, Tommy Davis puts on a show of showing that he's being attacked, that he's being persecuted. Would the general public likely believe this or care? Most likely not. This behavior, this dance, this acting job that Mr. Davis does is most likely put on for the benefit of his masses, David Miscavige's masses. Hence, propaganda is neutrally defined as a systematic form of purposeful persuasion that attempts to influence the emotions, attitudes, and opinions of a specified target audience.